talk about spraying it on your fruits and vegetables. We actually have some agricultural products derived from the plant-derived minerals that are great for home and garden. We know you put more minerals in the soil, you get better tasting fruits and vegetables. You put more minerals in. With ours, you can spray it directly on the plants if you dilute it, and it'll absorb through the leaves. They call it foliar application. But we get better tasting fruits and vegetables. In fact, I had one of our leaders, Nephi, who's been using one of our commercial grade agriculture products called Liquid EFM. His tomato plants are over 6 feet tall right now. And the tomatoes there, we talked about nutritionally dense tomatoes that sink in water versus those that are nutritionally deficient that are going to float. Yeah, he's getting heavy tomatoes that taste good. And when farmers sell their produce, they typically sell it by the ton. And so when you have more nutritionally dense, they're actually seeing, some of the farmers that have worked with one of our agriculture specialists, Marvin Ropp, they did 3 applications and at about $3 an acre for the application, so $9, and it increased their profitability $200 an acre with their crop that year.
Makes sense to me. And I remember when we first started to work with this, and I came and did some lectures with you in Japan, and you introduced me to a strawberry grower, and that he was struggling before he started to use the minerals, taking care of his family, because in Japan, their farms are much smaller than ours. Their farms are a quarter acre is a nice farm in Japan. Maybe 1 or 2 acres is considered a large in my mind. If you don't get top dollar for your fruit or vegetable or your product that you're growing, you struggle. And tell us a little bit about what happened after he started to use the minerals on his strawberries.
He was taking his produce to the farmer's market, right? And there, before people buy it, they sample it. And his strawberries did not taste very good. So other people are selling his stuff, and he's not selling it at all. And he struggles. And that weekend, he didn't sell anything. So he goes home and says, what can I do? And we had actually had some of the plant-derived minerals, that we use for ourselves, that he had purchased, and he put those on his crops. He watered them down, put them on all his crops. And by the next time the farmer's market came, within 1 week, his crops tasted so much better that he sold out in a weekend of all of his strawberries. That kind of started a boom of using minerals in agriculture in Japan. And they find that just like our bodies, when we're healthier, we're more resistant to bugs and diseases. When they're using minerals in agriculture and the crops are healthier, they're more resistant to insects. Insects don't go after the strongest plants, they go after the weakest plants.
That's because insects are there to break down after the growing season's over.
Yeah.
They're designed to break it down so that the nutrients go back into the soil so that we can repeat the process. So if it's a fruit or a vegetable that is minerally deficient, it considers it dead and it starts attacking it.
Yeah. And also mold and funguses and even extremes in weather like extreme heat or extreme drought, extreme cold, or sometimes extreme rain. All of those things that typically would damage the crops are more resilient to it. In those extreme situations, it's almost like an insurance policy. By putting extra minerals in the soil, we use the Bloomin Minerals or the plant-derived minerals that you can water down, or we actually have the Liquid EFM, which is a commercial grade that's sold in these 55-gallon drums that's worth literally hundreds and hundreds of acres worth of product. But the difference that people see in the taste, the difference they see in the strength, and even an increase in yield, just in every case we've tried it, people have been glad that they spend a little more money on putting the minerals in the soil and in the plants because they get more than that back out of it.
We talk about depleting soils, and one of the things when we talk about our farmers is that they're paid by the bushel and whatnot, and they typically put NPK back in their soil because that's what really increases the yield, which is beneficial for them. In other words, we really don't pay them to give us the most nutritionally beneficial. We just pay them for the size and the color, more so to speak. And so by putting all the minerals in there that we need, we're finding that the farmers are not only seeing richer, more dense fruits and vegetables, and so they're getting paid more, but they're also treating their soil better. And in the long run, if we get everyone to start doing this trend, it'll be better for us. We're getting whole foods that are more nutritious, and our soils are in better shape. Because if you actually go to the Department of Ag and you look at how much vitamin C is in an orange 20 years ago and how much vitamin C is in an orange now, because our soils are depleted, the numbers are going down. And when you taste our fruit, it tastes watery. It has no taste. That's because there's no value to it. There's an instrument that measures the sugar content. It's called a Brix. And if you start looking at fruits and vegetables that have low Brix, they're nutritionally dead. But if you start adding the minerals to the soil, the Brix content go up. You'll notice the flavor goes up, and it's higher. It's more mineral alive. And so it's a great product, and I enjoy working with it. I usually challenge people. I says, I only want you to use this product the first year on half your garden, and you tell me if it's worth it, because it only takes one season. Now, Roxanne and I, we usually incorporate it twice a year, if not three, at least the Bloomin Minerals in the soil. The beginning of the growing season, we put it on there, and then in the fall, after the growing season, we put it in the soil, turn it over, and then we bake it by putting plastic over our soil to get it ready for the next year. And then when we plant it in the spring, we basically put it on top so that when the watering takes place, it takes the minerals down into the roots. So fall, we incorporate it into the soil. Spring, we put it on top, and we treat it twice a year, and then we spray once a year. But we absolutely love it.
Also use the Bloomin Minerals for pets and livestock, right? Is that a way to give additional trace mineral supplementation to our animals?
Sure, we'll talk about animals really quick here. We have a product called Arthrodex for dogs and cats, and we basically take those plant minerals and we put it in there along with other ingredients like brewer's yeast and beef liver extract and things like that, so the animals really like it, and they're getting huge amounts of vitamins, amino acids, and minerals in their products, just like us, in a product that they'll taste. Now, I haven't met a dog yet that doesn't like Arthrodex. I've met a couple cats, but they're a little more finicky, as we all know. That's a great product, but I always have distributors call me that have livestock like horses and cows, and they want to get the plant minerals, and what's the most economical way. And the rule of thumb that I usually recommend is you take the Bloomin Minerals, and it's about a cup per 500 to 700 pounds of animal weight. In other words, if you have a horse and it weighs 1,500 pounds, a couple cups a day in its feed, and you'll get those base minerals up there. They'll stop piking and cribbing, and their overall health will be better, and it's a great way. And when you get that 40-pound sack from Youngevity, it goes a long ways. You know, you do a large garden with that, or you can take care of livestock for a long period of time. But for the dogs and the cats, Arthrodex, wonderful product. And then for your livestock, the Bloomin Minerals in with their feed.
Yeah, and another rule of thumb, if you want to use it on, you have lots of animals, and for easy calculation, Dr. Walk will often say 2% of your feed. In other words, if you have a 100-pound bag of feed, add 2 pounds of the Bloomin Minerals there. Just make sure that the Bloomin Minerals stay in the feed. So sometimes he says you have to put a little molasses in there so it sticks, but you don't want it all
sink into the bottom.